Jonathan Bailor, and I am here with my friends Trina and Mariah, and we are going to be talking about an amazing breakthrough form of exercise that is specifically engineered to cause a metabolic change in our body, to heal our hormones, lower our set point, and reverse and help prevent diabesity. And it's extremely exciting because traditionally when we're told about exercise, it's either about building muscle or burning calories. And if you want to lower your set point and prevent and reverse diabesity, we want to do a specific form of exercise known as eccentric resistance training. Eccentric. Does that all sound good so far? Okay, cool. So I want to just give a little bit of background, and then I just want to jump into some demonstrations. So first, you might be wondering, what does eccentric exercise mean? Well, your muscle actually has 3 different ways it can contract. So traditionally you hear about lifting weights, right? Lifting weights. What we're going to talk about here today is lowering weights, interestingly enough. And before we go any further, I just said lifting weights, and you might be thinking, I want to lift weights because I don't want to get big and bulky. This is sometimes a concern people have. And just real quick, because I don't want you to be afraid of what we're going to do, because what we're going to do is one of the most potent forms of therapy that you can ever engage in for your health long term. There is a gene in your body called GDF8, and it actually limits how big your muscles can grow. And females, and the vast majority of males, physically, genetically, cannot build bulky muscles. So I want you to feel fully empowered to be strong and to be just sassy and just punch diabesity in the face, because I don't want anything to hold you back. So does that maybe address any concerns you might have about resistance training or weightlifting?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So your muscles can contract in 3 ways. This is called concentric. So when it actually contracts, that's concentric. When you hold something, like you're holding a gallon of milk stationary, that's called isometric. And when you lower down or extend the muscle, that's eccentric. So if you're doing a bicep curl, this is concentric, holding it isometric, releasing it eccentric. What's really, really cool is that your muscles, they can generate about 40% more force eccentrically than they can concentrically, meaning that you are literally about 40% stronger. And why this is really powerful is, let's say, for example, that a push-up is an exercise that maybe you've never been able to do in the past. Well, you might not be able to push yourself up because that's a concentric movement, but you might be able to lower yourself down, an eccentric movement. And by developing strength eccentrically, you will actually strengthen the entire muscle while generating a tremendous hormonal response in your body. And this is something that, in the past you might have said, I just can't do push-ups. But now we can provide a methodology where you can perform that exercise and myriad other exercises in a specific way that anyone, anywhere, at any level of experience can do to help cause a hormonal reaction that reverses and prevents diabesity. Is that cool? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So awesome. let's put this into practice. The reason we want to contract our muscles as forcefully as possible, or we want to use the eccentric movement to make sure that we tax the muscle as deeply as possible and as safely as possible. But what most people don't know, and this is really where profound hormonal benefit is found.
And here's where the science comes in. You have 4 different types of muscle fibers within each of your muscles. These are known as your type 1A, type 2A, type 2X, and type 2B muscle fibers. And your body activates those muscle fibers in that order, in proportion to the amount of strength that muscles need to generate. For example, a box of tissues is light and requires little strength to lift it, and therefore your body would only use your type 1A muscle fibers to lift it up.
So these are the muscle fibers that allow you to walk around all day, just like this, just like that. And you can do a little bit of force for a long period of time. So a little bit of force, long period of time, lots of force, short period of time.
However, if you picked up a heavy box of books that required all your strength, your body would try to pick it up with just your type 1A muscle fibers, but that wouldn't get the job done. So then it would activate your type 2A muscle fibers, but that's still not enough. And then type 2X, and then finally type 2B, and boom, a enough strength is generated and up comes the box. Because your body will only activate your type 2B muscle fibers when it needs to generate the maximum strength, and because your type 2B muscle fibers cause the most hormonal benefits to help lower your set point and reverse diabesity, then if our goal is to prevent and reverse diabesity, we need to move our body safely in ways that cause it to use the most strength possible.
So, if the only form of exercise you ever do is this, not only will you look really cool, but you could do that for literally 20 hours every day of the week. And all of these muscle fibers would never get activated. Ever. Why does that matter? Well, inherently, you're like, well, isn't it better to work more muscle fibers than less? I mean, we're all kind of like, the reason we want to work our leg muscles, either by doing cycling, is because you work more muscles, you get more results. Bigger muscle, bigger result, smaller muscle, smaller result. But what's amazing is researchers have found that when we activate these muscle fibers, and like the most forceful ones, specifically type 2B, these muscle fibers historically only ever got activated when we needed to generate a tremendous amount of force. And usually, the only reason a human being needs to generate a tremendous amount of force for a short period of time is a crisis. Like a tiger jumps out of the, and so instead of doing this, I'm just gathering my berries, you're like, oh, a tiger, woo! So right then, for a burst, for a short period of time, a lot of force. Okay, why does that matter? In order to generate a tremendous amount of force for a short period of time, your body has to like sound the hormonal alarm, and it has to cause what's called an anabolic cascade in your body. So things like adrenaline, norepinephrine, epinephrine, testosterone, less in women, more in men, all get released simultaneously because your body's like, holy moly, fire alarm's been pulled. And what this does, especially from a diabetes perspective, is it helps to flush glucose or sugar out of our muscles, helps to clear that out, helps to clear out insulin, and your body's like, batten down the hatches, emergency. So when we do that, we get this tremendous effect in our body, this tremendous hormonal effect that, remember, could never be achieved, ever, by this. And the reason I'm doing this ridiculous movement is if you go to the gym, what do you see most people doing? Stuff like this, right? They're just, I'm gonna lift my little weights and do this and talk and text and do. What we're gonna do is the opposite of that. So we're gonna do very brief, but very intense and very safe and slow movements that are eccentric, so that we generate the most force, so that we activate all of our muscle fibers and trigger that tremendous hormonal response that no quantity of lower quality or lower intensity exercise could ever trigger. Does that make sense so far? Okay, cool. So we want to work our biggest muscle groups, and we want to work all of the muscle fibers within our muscle groups. So we're going to start with our legs. Now this is really, really important. If you take nothing else away from what we talked about here today, from here down is up to 70% of all the muscle in your body. But like especially men spend about 7% of their time, right? You see all these big arms. Stick like that. Yeah, you don't want to do that. So, and so this is important because some people they have shoulder problems. They don't, you can still get 70 to 80% of the benefit of everything we're talking about here if you never go above the waist. And you might say, Jonathan, well, but isn't it good to have a strong core? That's all great, but remember, our goal is to trigger a specific hormonal response to lower your set point to help protect you against diabesity. Not that any other goal is bad or wrong. It's just, if you said, Jonathan, I want to run a marathon and be a power lifter, I'd say it's kind of hard to train for both of those at the same time, right? Because if you work your legs, your back, your chest, and your shoulders, you'll have worked about 90+% of the muscle on your body, and I'd rather you spend the rest of your time with your family, with your friends, maybe cooking some healthy, high quality meals, rather than worrying about like whether or not your forearms are getting a good exercise or anything along those lines, okay?